and Skill Development School of Management Science, Varanasi. Sir has done MBA, Institute of Management Studies, PhD, BBS, Purvanchal University, UGC NET in Management, PG Diploma in Export Management, PG Diploma in Journalism and Mass Communication. Sir has University Grant Commission Merit Scholarship holder. Sir has Advisory Board member of International Center for Business Research and Innovation of KIIT University. Sir has panel member of Mentor in Startup India of Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Government of India. Sir has coordinator of National Innovation and Startup Policy of Ministry of Education of Government of India. Sir is also the PhD external examiner of various reputed universities. Sir has 30 years of academic and industrial experience. Sir has reviewer of some reputed journals and also the editor of various national and international journals. Sir has organized several entrepreneurship awareness campaigns association with EDII. Sir has an expert of startup business plan, case writing, case analysis, case teaching, apart from quantitative research and conceptual model building, curriculum designing, and pedagogy development. Sir has published 30 research papers and case studies in various national and international journals. Sir has presented 15 research papers in national, international conferences and workshops. Sir has published more than 50 articles in Farmers News Magazine, newspaper, and news portals. Sir has developed the online course content of entrepreneurship, incubation management, design thinking and innovation, sales management, and retail management. Sir has supervised more than 1,000 project reports, dissertation, and internship reports. Also, Sir has supervised more than 500 business plans. Sir has written a book titled Therapeutic Index, edited a book titled Alchemy of Leadership for Innovation and Sustainability. Sir is in process of writing a book of startup business plans. Sir has regularly invited as chief guest of honor, keynote speaker, visiting faculty, resource person, session chair in various national and international conferences, seminars, webinars, workshops, FDP, EDP, and panel discussions. Sir has been in panel of consultant, startup trainer, mentor in the Ministry of MSME, Ministry of Education, and Ministry of Commerce and Industry. Sir is presently working as chairman of Public Relations Society of India. Sir is running MSME clinic on behalf of Center for Entrepreneurship, Innovation and Skill Development of SMS Varanasi to provide free of cost consultancy to the ailing industry of the region. Till date, Sir has produced 100 startups in various sectors. Sir has organized 1 national, 2 international conferences, and more than 25 national and international webinars. Sir has also organized various startup mela, workshop on entrepreneurship, workshop on IPR, entrepreneurship development program, FDP, and seminars. Sir has been honored by various awards: Global Educator Award, Best Academician of Entrepreneurship Award, Best Innovative Academician Award, Distinguished Teacher Award, Best Chairman Award, Distinguished Professor Award, Inspiring Speaker Award, Best Case Study Award. Sir is also presently member of the various professional and social associations. We are very grateful to Dr. Rajkumar Singh for accepting our invitation. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for joining with us. Now I hand over the session to our today's resource person. Once again, I welcome you, sir.
Thank you very much. I hope I am audible to all of you. So, First, I would like to thank to the Adiman Arts and Science College for organizing this SAPDP from research to publications. And the topic which has been given to me is the case writing, case analysis, case teaching, and case publication. But at the beginning, I would like to thank to the principal of the institution, Professor S. Thirumal Murugan, Secretary Professor Shobha Thirumal Murugan, HOD Professor M. Anbu Selvi, and Madam Professor Uma Raniji, the program organizer, because she was the person who coordinated with me, and today I am in front of you. I would also like to thank the entire organizing team members who are behind this entire show, all the respected faculty members. Rudyard Kipling has once mentioned that I keep 6 honest friends with me who taught me so many things, and these 6 friends' names are what, why, when, who, where, and how. Being a student of management and commerce or the related areas, this exploratory tendency is a very important aspect. As we all know, there are 4 pillars of academics. One is the teaching learning process, which we do in the classroom, training and consultancy, academic administration, and fourth, which is very important, is the research and development. And and development is always called the ornament of an academician. So this FDP is basically to promote the various dimensions of the research and development. One very crucial aspect of research is normally ignored by us in our FDP programs, and that is the case study, case writings, case analysis, case teaching, which is a very important part of the pedagogy of management and commerce education, especially, and psychology and other fields also. I'm thankful to the entire organizing team of the college that they have chosen this topic. So, first we need to understand what actually the case study is. Case study is a history which has taken place in the field of corporates, in the field of governance, even in the field of politics, or anywhere. As we all know, the principles of management applies everywhere. So this is actually what has happened. See, in the life of a management or commerce professional or anybody who is going to in the field of administration, we have to do only 2 things in the life. First, take a right decision at the right time in the right manner. And second, to ensure whether the decision taken by you is properly executed or not. So basically, the case study helps us in taking the decision, what has happened in the past. Because this is actually a process or record of research which happens in the development of any person, any industry, any group activity, any administration, any event, any problem. This can be in a real or hypothetical situation. Normally, case studies we should prefer the real cases, but many times the hypothetical case studies are also framed. So what happens? These incidents has happened over a period of time, and this we use to analyze, involve a very updated and in-depth analysis, and doing the detailed examination that why this has happened and what happened if this has not happened. So what actually we do, we illustrate a thesis or an antithesis, or we evolve certain principle which helps us in the decision making process. For example, you all know there is a very famous case of Nano. It was an excellent case of innovation. Nano car was an excellent case of innovation, but got failed. Why got failed? Because it has not achieved and meet the aspiration of a common man for whom this car has been made. So, firstly, we should understand very clearly that cases describe a particular situation and how this complex situation people are involved, they play various roles and take a decision, and because of that decision, success may happen, failure may. So normally, what we used to say that cases are basically a problem-based learning. Normally, what happens in the classroom as a teacher, we tell the students so many theories, so many principles, but they are unable to understand it unless it is being supported with the cases. Then that theoretical principles and the practical happening match together and gives a proper idea. So this is a problem based. And it should be in such a way that the action provoking way has to be developed. Means after understanding a case, the student can understand what should be the proper action in this case. So this actually increases the analytical power of a student. And in the entire case study, if you see the interconnectivity is there, interdisciplinary approach is there. Because if your case study is on the marketing, it doesn't mean only marketing is involved, the theories of marketing are involved. It may involve the financial aspects also. It may involve the HR aspects also. It may involve the operational aspect also. So this is what actually we have to understand, that in any case study, what are the real problems or sub problems, issues or sub issues. So that's why for an active learning of a student and their engagement, we need to understand how we have to move, how we have to move through our entire teaching learning process through a case study. And case study becomes very interesting because it's a sort of storytelling, which is actually not a story, it has already happened. So what happens? Suppose, as my introduction was given, I spent more than 2 decades in the corporate world before coming to the academy. So in my lifetime, I have gone through 4 or 5 companies. My experience is only limited to 4 or 5 companies. Some are very significant, some are not so significant. But if you are having numerous case studies, you can have an experience of thousands and thousands of the companies. So you can connect theory with the practical. And you can connect the real life corporate and situation. If the same kind of situation happens in front of you, then what will you do? As I given the example of Nano, if you are doing certain innovation, you should understand the consumer behavior. So I just want to say one thing, that any case study which you are studying or presenting in the classroom or trying to develop, because the case writing is one of the major focus of the today's FDP, you should have a multi-dimensional, multi-functional analysis. Although it is out of context, but I always suggest to the teachers in any FDP that don't get confined yourself with 1 or 2 papers only. Try to teach as many papers as you can, apart from one of your specialization. Because if you are teaching MBA, then 4 semesters there and 1 paper will not be there in 4 semesters. So try to have some papers which are of different nature. What will happen? This will give you an in-depth analysis power. So in case studies, you can have this kind of orientation. This will help you. Second thing, with a case study, a student can be told that what are the do's and don'ts, what they should do and what they should not do. Or of any decision, what are the pros and cons? Because normally when we take a decision, we just look to one side. We have to see that decision in a different perspective, in a very comprehensive way. And this also helps in the understanding the cause and effect relationship. That if anything has happened, why it has happened? What was the reason behind this? And this is my advice that you just don't read only the success case studies, the companies who are successful. You should study the failure case study also, as I've just given you the example of mine. Because you should know what to do, and at the same time, you should know what you should not do. So we have various kind of case studies that can be explanatory cases also, exploratory cases also. Many times you do a multiple case studies. Many times you do the intrinsic case study or a collective case study. So, so when you are selecting any case study, what are the criteria? First criteria is that the preferred case study should be taken from the real life. It should not be taken from just imaginary cases, because when a case study is taken from the real life, then this will be easier for you to understand the situation. You can relate it with. So better always try to prefer the case studies from the real life situation. Second, you should understand that any case study is having many parts, and every part ends with certain problem and certain point for discussion. So there is nothing like a mathematical aspect, because this situation may happen at any point of time. So in classroom, if you are teaching the things, when any case ends somewhere, you just you just try to discuss with the students. And when you start discussing with the student and try to make them connect with certain theories which you have told, or earlier theories which you have told. For example, when I was giving you the case study of referring the case study of Nano, consumer behavior. Perception based upon our own experience is not important. This is one aspect. But perception based upon the other's experience, which we call empathy, what people think, how people think, how people see the things, how people believe on things, this becomes important. And a case study should have a sufficient information so that the reader can understand the problem and try to solve the situation. Here, the sequences of the events, the problems, the conflicts, everything needs to be understood. Now I'm going to come to the main part, the case writing part. I did my MBA from BHU, Banaras Hindu University, 1990 I pass out. At that time, we are having only the foreign case studies. Indian case studies were negligible, because all the case writings has been done in the Western world. So we used to see study the case studies from USA and other part of the world, Japan, Korea. But this is a good sign now, which I am saying, that Indian case studies are being developed. And Indian case studies are being developed by the academicians like you and me. Because when any Indian case study you develop, it gives you an Indian flavor. And the students can connect with them. So one of suggestion I always give to everyone, that start from the case studies of your own city. In every city, there are so many small companies are there which has emerged to a big company or at least medium-sized companies, how they've increased their branches, or how a big organization got closed in your area. Let's start with that. So case writing should start with your own experiences around your own region. Because case writing is nothing but a process that begins with the decision to use the case and ends with the use of case in class. So you cook the food by taking the raw material and then you finally serve it in the class. It's just like that. So what are the various steps in the case writing? I will try to uh, give one by one steps. Meanwhile, I will request you all that if you have any question or query, please write in the chat box or comment box, and so that I will finish 10 minutes before, so that I can take your questions and try to answer your questions, because that will be a two-way communication. Otherwise, if I will only speak and you will just hear, is not going to solve our purpose. First step of case writing is that you should understand the case origin. What is the meaning of case origin? You identify the need, in which area you want to write a case. You are having certain specialization area, so it is better you try to write in that area. If you are a professor of marketing, try to search some dimension where the marketing can be chosen. Many cases, the because of poor marketing, the company gets failed. And when you find out that need, then second step comes, and that is the establishing the need. Means the search for a specific issue. Now in marketing, what are the various issues? Ideas, individuals, organization, because you need a case information. And here I would like to clarify one thing very clearly. There is a confusion among the academicians that the case writing should only be based upon the primary data. It's not that. If you are having an authentic secondary data, because I know collection of primary data for, suppose you are working on any company, normally people don't supply the data, and if they give you the data, this can be a manipulated data also. So if there is certain secondary source of information available, then you may use them. Suppose you want to write a case study on the Manrega or Aadhaar card. These are the government schemes, Ujjwala Yojana. Every data is available on the net, government sites. So you need not to move here and there. At the same time, you have to go through a literature review. So many earlier work has been done on that part. So first try to understand from where you will collect this data. And then the third step comes the initial contact. Means to establishment of access to the material. That can be through a primary source, that can be through a secondary source. And fourth step, data collection. So you start collecting the data. Here, if you are going through a primary data, then you have to design a questionnaire. And here I would like to clarify one thing, that case study is a very important part of qualitative research. So here taking the interviews, asking the open-ended question, these methods should be used. It is not like a quantitative method where you give a multiple choice questions and collect the data and quantify it. It's a qualitative in nature basically. And when the entire data is collected, whether it's a primary or secondary or both, then you do the writing process. You start the writing process. Means you present the data and information in a proper way. And finally, when the data is collected, if it is primary, then take the permission from the person that you are going to publish it. And if it is secondary, there is no issue. You can just write the source of the information, for example, the websites, etc., or any annual report, or any newspaper clipping. It's enough for you. You don't need to take a individual permission. So here you have to take permission from the appropriate individual if it is a individual case study, so that you can use it for the education. Now, what are the various activities? Case writing is a very challenging task. Should not be taken so lightly. It is like a story, but it's not like that story. That's a different kind of a story. Here, four basic steps are involved in the case writing process: planning, organizing, drafting, and revising. The first step is the planning. What you do in this step? You identify the purpose of case writing. Why you want to write this case? Your purpose should be very clear. Suppose I want to write a case study on the nano, my purpose should be clear. Why, in spite of having so much innovation, the nano get failed? My purpose should be clear. And second, this is very important, especially for the teachers like you and me. Identify the learner's attribute. Suppose you are teaching a case to a BCom final year student, the approach will be different. If you are teaching case to the BCom first year student, the approach will be different. If you are teaching a MBA student, then approach will be different, or MCom student, then approach will be different. So what is the attribute of the learner? What and these attribute analysis you have to do as a teacher. Many times you can involve the role play also, you can involve the normal storytelling process also. And third, you have to decide what information you have to put in the case. That's not like garbage that you have to provide all the information at one place. No. What is needed for the sake of the objective of that case? So an effective way to carry out the process to ask yourself. Suppose you treat yourself as a student, that here what should I know, or what will be my query? So this empathy towards the student can help. Second step, when you plan it, then you have to organize it. So what do you have to do in organizing? You have to, since you have already collected the data, what you have to do? You have to do the arrangement of ideas that support the purpose of case. So here you have to do the structuring of whatever the material you have collected. This should be in a narrative style. And it should present the nature of complexity of case problem. Here I'm again taking one example only so to make you clear about that. That Tata has done so many things in the case of Nano. They made it a fabricated uh, body from those materials which are lighter in nature. They use less steel. They involved so many technological aspects. But what happened? The positioning, the brand positioning was not done in a proper way. Brand positioning means what? It was positioned as a Laktakia car. Laktakia means car of 1 lakh amount. But in the North India, when you say taka, it means cheap. It's cheap. If it is, you say it's a reasonably priced, it will give a different impression. If you say it's cheap, it will give a different impression. So you have to understand that what is the mindset of a common man. Because in India, still, car is being treated as a luxury in majority of our population. So keep in mind that the information to be presented should justify the intention and the purpose of writing the case. It's not that you are giving unnecessary information. And how a case should reveal the multi-dimensional phases. Or how does the case show different perspective through its interpretation? Because there may be different interpretation of one idea. After doing this, the planning and organizing, the real task comes, that is the drafting. And now you have to pen down. Although nowadays we work on the laptop, but try to note down the important points somewhere by using the pen and paper. And then form the sentences. Initially, don't worry about the grammatical aspects and other things. First, just write down. Later on, you correct the grammar and spellings and all these things. But first, try to write down the things in a specific sequence. See, when you write anything, of course, you will do on MS Word. And when you revisit, reread, many times you will rectify yourself. You may have observed this. Every time you will rectify. Oh, it's not looking good, or it's not in a proper sequence, or this sentence should be here, or this paragraph should be here. Because you have to become your own critic. Only then you can have a good writing skill. And then start writing. And when you are writing, always remember, and this is, I would like to hear mention one thing, please don't take it otherwise. In other researches, whatever you write or get it published in a journal, normally only you see that. Means the writer see that. And many times doing a literature review, if your paper is good enough, some other may see. But how much it is being practically implemented is a question of discussion. But if a case study is good case study is written, it will be discussed in the classroom. Everybody would like to discuss in the classroom, and then you can understand when millions of students will read your case study, how much honored you will feel. You are not knowing that who is studying my case study, but you have done that, and this is your creative satisfaction. So try to understand that finally this case study will be read by the students in the classroom and taught by the teachers in the classroom. So your language should be in that. Don't try to write in a very complicated way. Write in a very simple English. After activities of the planning organizing, you should know that all these material has to be arranged in a specific sequence. With that, although you don't have to insert your ideas, because this is history, this has happened, but your idea should be in deciding the logical sequencing of the case study and ask few questions which are very important. What is the central idea of the case? So whether your entire fabrication, arrangements and rearrangements are supporting the central idea of the case or not? How should the central idea of the case be supported? These are the things. And fourth step, when you write it, then you revise. You have to revise it. It's a old habit which has been given to us. So revising involves the reading, rereading, evaluating, and making the changes wherever it is needed. And you should become a critical leader. My suggestion is that if you are having a good friend who is not the writer of this case study, just show that case study if you are having a trust on that person. And tell them that as a critical leader, what is your opinion? Or there is some good student of yours who is having a proper presence of logic. Take the feedback from them also. Many times the innocent feedbacks helps you in improvising of your thesis. So you should have a very close reviewers. Make a close reviewers team who can help each other. And ask few questions during the revision. First, will the case produce the intended learning outcome? Because nowadays, as the Bloom's taxonomy, the learning outcome is very much on focus. So, suppose I give you an example of this nano, whether after going through the case study, really the student come to know about the reason of failure of the nano, or are the problem or issues presented in the case study is related with the learning outcome? Is the case sufficiently complete or complex or focused? Does the case present a situation, a problem or issue? These things should be reflected in the case. Does the case appears to be realistic? Because it has to be there, otherwise people won't believe on you. If it is a hypothetical case, it's a different issue. But if you are taking the name of any organization, then it should be realistic. So all the different elements, whether it's a storytelling style, whether a contextual description of the situation, or the characters, or the development of the series of the events, it is creating a different kind of plot so that the reader should easily read it and try to understand, try to visualize and imagine that. Are the different events, actions are in a proper logical sequence? Because even if you tell a story, a sequencing is there. So these are the things which are very important. You have to understand, you have to know. When you develop a case and analyze in the classroom with the students, you should understand that your analysis should be based upon applying of the knowledge, reasonings, and drawing of the conclusion. So you should try to attempt to diagnose the nature of the case study, search for the alternative ways, and you should understand that the case analysis that you are doing in the classroom, what is the objective? First objective is very clear, as I discussed earlier also, that a logical sense of imagination should be developed. The story should be in case study should be like that. One student can imagine that, and their logical sense can be developed. And take it as a learning tool. And not only that, it can improve the student's ability to communicate. Here, communication doesn't mean a normal communication. Communicate about that case in a logical way. And they can develop an ability for the experiential learning, because case study in itself is based upon experience. And accordingly, the analytical ability should be developed. Their personal involvement should be developed. And a critical approach, critical thinking should be developed. That's why the awareness towards basic dimension should be very much clear to them. And as a teacher, this is our primary job, that we should try to relate that in actual business world, how it can be applied. Past is past, history is history. What has happened. But when such situation will come, then what will you do? Here the importance of hypothetical cases comes. Or you can create a situation in a classroom by allowing them a role play, that okay, this is the situation, what will you do? See, in decision making process, no decision is an absolute decision. Every decision is having certain pros and cons. So as a manager, what they should do and what they should not do should be very clear. And when we say manager, it doesn't mean the person should only be having the degree of MBA as manager. This is the only area where there is no restriction of a degree. It is simply your sense of business judgment which is important. So these are the tools to develop the sense of judgment. And this will help you and help residents in gaining the in-depth exposure to different industries and companies. The initially which I told you, you can read n number of cases. And I was in the industry. I used to read at least one case study every day because every case study will help me trying to understand different kind of industry, how they are functioning, what kind of problems they have faced. So when any student go through studying the case, just guide them that they should involve two process. First is called the short cycle process. Means first read the case at a glance and try to know the main points. And then second is the long cycle process because many places in the examination one case study is asked and normally comprises 20% marks. Normally I have seen 15 or 20% marks. Out of 100 number, 15 number or 20 number, it's a very crucial. So tell the students that always solve these case studies in the beginning when the examination starts. Because what happens is a process of thought. How you think about a case. You have to apply your brain. So what happens? Other questions, if you have read it earlier, you remember it earlier, you can write it easily. But case study, you don't know. There is no fixed way which kind of cases will be asked. So better you attempt in the beginning. If you attempt in the last, then you may face problem. Maybe you will not justify with the case. So this will save the time. So normally when you write a case study, what is the proper way? Although it's a very subjective, but objectively also you can do. First is the introduction of the case study. Second, the background information of the case. Third, defining the issues, sub-issues, problems, sub-problems, or the decision has to be made. Then you analyze the case data and details. So when you have collected the data, then you have to analyze it. And when you analyze the data, then you interpret it. For example, if a company has suffered a loss of 10% year by year, so whether all the product sale has been declined by 10%, or maybe some products has shown a growth and few of the products have shown a very wide declination. So a strategy should be made to improve those products which are running in losses or having a negative sale instead of having the same decision for every product. So this will require an in-depth interpretation, and with that you generate the alternative. Because whenever we have to take decision, we are having several options, 3, 4, 5 options may have. So these are the alternatives. But to take a decision, we must have certain decision criteria. These decision criteria helps us in taking the decision. In our life also, when we take a decision, the decision is based upon the decision criteria. And then you select all the alternatives and analyze, evaluate, and select. Analyze and evaluate every alternative with your decision criteria. Then finally you come to know about some decision where you are having a maximum plus points and minimum minus points. Again, I am saying no decision is a perfect decision. But you have to do optimization of decision or a decision which is having a maximum benefit and less things are there which is not in favor of. And then developing of the action plan or interpretation of the outcomings and shortcomings or overall impacts. So, as I have taken the example of Nano, it has failed in India, but you will be surprised to know that with the reverse innovation, it's doing well in the Germany and France. So this is what actually you have to understand, that this is the way you have to move through the entire case study. And writing of the case is only having one very basic nowadays, and its importance also that you have to do the publication. So, although every journal is having a different format of publication, as in my introduction, it has been mentioned that I am also a founding manager editor of one of my journal, which is called SMS Journal of Entrepreneurship and Innovation. So I usually tell the authors to follow this. From this platform, I request you all, we are in process of our December issue. So if you have any paper, you can, uh, on the case study, you can send it to me, or any other paper if you are having related with the entrepreneurship innovation, you can send to me. My details are with the organizing committee. So again, you have to go through the general format, like your title, your affiliation, your abstract, your introduction, background information, defining of the issues, sub-issues, analysis of the case data, interpretation, generating the alternatives, choosing the best one upon the decision criteria of the decision, and then finally evaluating it and seeing this overall impact. Try to follow the formats of the journal, and your references should be in APA format. Seventh edition has come, so you can go through that. For the journal periodical, there is different online reference, or there is different. Some technical specifications journals follow. Normally, for case study, some journals accept up to 3,000 words, some to 4 to 5,000 words. So, what should be the margin? What should be the heading? What should be the subheading? Body matter, spacing, alignments, all these things you have to understand. And very important aspect is the plagiarism. So try to be within the 10% of the UC recommended similarity index. Uh, Check it through the Turnitin on international publications, and Orkun is for the Indian publication. And use your own language. Don't use the social media language. Try to understand where you have to make it bold, where to underline, where to italics. See, I'm as an editor, I'm saying you, I face so many problems while editing these papers, or my editorial board team face so many problems. So don't irritate the publisher, because the editorial board uh, is a combination of all the great professors. So when you irritate them, then they may reject your paper also, especially the big journals who are indexed in the Scopus and ABDC and other top listed journals. And do the table numbering, figure numbering. All these are common things which you all know and which you should do. So although this is a very big topic and it requires a lot of time, but I tried my level best to give you an outline of case writing, case answers, case teaching, and publications. So with these words, I would like to thank the organizers for inviting me, and I would like to invite the faculties or anyone. If you have anything to ask, you can ask me. I will try my level best to answer your queries. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We express our deepest gratitude for your insightful explanation on case writing, teaching, and publications. Your speech has truly enlightened us and provided valuable knowledge. Thank you, sir. Dear participants, do you have any queries? Kindly discuss with our today's resource person.
If anybody want to ask a question, please allow them to
Please
ask.
allow them to ask. Dear participants, kindly post your queries in our YouTube chat box.
Okay, thank you. If anybody is having any query, please feel free to ask me.
I request S. Gunamam, Assistant Professor, Department of Commerce, to deliver the vote of thanks.
evening to all. I will thank God for the day and the moment I have. On the behalf of Department of Commerce, Adiamon Arts and Science College for Women, I convey my regards and hearty thanks to our management for granting us permission to organize the Enlightening Faculty Development Program. We extend our heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed chief guest speaker, Professor Dr. Rajkumar Singh, sharing their insightful words. Thank you, sir, for sharing your valuable knowledge as truly engaging and insightful event. Thank you, Ananda. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Thank you. Thanks to
Sir, thank you so much for